So today I want to talk to you about your earliest money memory. And specifically I mean an interaction with money that left a big impression on you. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about or why it matters, what I'm trying to get to is that the interactions that you have with money when you're really young, so quite impressionable, form part of what's called your earliest money paradigm. And so this shapes everything about your interaction with the world around money. And usually these things start to form when we're really young. And, so that's why I want you to try and go back and see if you can remember your earliest interaction with money. Because what it ends up impacting is if these things go unchallenged, so especially if you've had a negative interaction with money when you're young, if you don't challenge these things or you don't know how to challenge them at the time, then they start to form part of your money paradigm. And then the way that they show up as you're growing up, and also they continue on as you're an adult, is they show up in your money patterns. So whether you're even able to make money or the amount of money that you want to earn, or whether you get stuck at a certain level. It impacts whether you're able to keep money. So you might actually be able to make quite good money, but maybe because of debt or inability to save, or because you spend everything. Sorry, I just had a phone call come in that just declined. So hopefully you're all still with me. So where was I? Okay, yes, so I was talking about the impacts that it has on you as an adult. So you've got your ability to make money, your ability to keep money, your ability to save, and then also being able to enjoy spending money. So you might, again, actually make quite good money, but for different reasons you've got guilt that you've carried into your adult life. And so even though you might have the money, you might have quite a lot of guilt about even earning the money in the first place, or being able to spend on things without, feeling like you're almost like you're offending someone or offending something, but you're not quite sure what. And that's a specific type of guilt around money. And so, look, the money part is really just how the results show up. The actual issue behind it and what lies beneath is often a lot of pain that you've been carrying since childhood. And the thing is, for a lot of people, you're not even aware that you're carrying that pain because it's not a direct relationship. So because you can't necessarily recall what shaped your beliefs and feelings about money, you don't make the connection between that and how you feel when you're out and about trying to make money or spend money. Sorry, I'm just a bit distracted. My dogs are just fighting each other at the moment, so hopefully they're not too loud. Okay, so all right, so what I'm going to do, to really thrive and for you guys to live the life that you want and the life that you deserve, you've got to be able to clear this stuff. And so what I want to share with you today, I'm going to get a bit raw and personal. So I'm a little bit nervous about this because I don't often share a lot of really personal stuff. But I want to share my first money memory. And it's weird because even when I think about it now, I get a little bit emotional. But and I'll explain why shortly. So my first significant money memory is when I would have been about 4 or 5. So I had just started school, so primary school, and in Australia and in the state I live in, it's what we call kindergarten. So it's your first year before you start grade 1, so just after preschool. So I would have been 4 or 5. And just to give you a bit of context, my parents moved from Mauritius a few years before, and when I was 2, which was when we left there, I used to speak French. And so from what my mum's told me, I struggled a lot with English, and I was actually going to repeat my first kindergarten grade because I couldn't speak English properly. So I don't even really think I understood, the world around me that well in English. And hey Jeremy, thanks for joining. Oh, so sorry, another call just jumped in. I should have put this on Do Not Disturb, note for next time. And if you're doing a live, remember to flick that on. Okay, yeah, so I was about to tell you about my earliest money memory. So I was, 4 or 5, didn't really speak English well. I don't think I understood that much. I just remember being really quiet and introverted and just kind of really observing the world. And anyway, I remember I used to have a friend that she ended up leaving probably a year later or something, but we were quite close. I think I just used to follow her around. And her mum used to volunteer in what we called the tuck shop or the canteen. So in the States or the UK, I'm not sure what you call it. My mind's kind of going back to the days when I used to read Babysitter's Club, and I think it was the cafeteria, but I'm not sure. But you kind of get the picture. It's where you can go and buy food if you didn't bring lunch in with you to school. So I remember my friend's mum used to volunteer in our canteen, and I used to wander in with her, and her mum used to give us, bags of lollies, ice blocks, so just, snacks and things like that. And I didn't think anything of it. I had no idea that you were supposed to pay for this stuff. We would, her friend's mum, my friend's mum would just give us this stuff. And so I remember walking in one day and, I thought I'd like up the ante a little bit. And so instead of just sort of a normal 5-cent bag of lollies, I remember asking for a frozen yogurt because I remember seeing them on the board and I thought, oh my God, that's amazing. I really want one of those because I've seen other kids buy them. And so I asked for this frozen yogurt, and then my friend's mum said to me, oh, that's a bit expensive. Like, you're going to have to start paying for these things. And all I remember about the incident is that I just completely froze. Like, it was just sheer utter embarrassment. Like, I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know what to do. I don't even know what I said at the time. Probably something like, oh no, I didn't really want it, I'm not hungry, or something like that. But I just remember being just so completely humiliated. And I didn't know how to react. Like, I never went home and told my parents about it. It was just something that impacted me so harshly. And interestingly, I was telling this story to a group of coaches when I went to, a few years ago, one of Bob Proctor's events. And I told this story and somebody just burst into tears because it just triggered so much emotion within them as well. And so what I want to explain is the significance of a memory like that. So, on one level, that really started to shape really my first experience with money, because all of a sudden I realized that to get these things, to get a frozen yogurt, or even what I thought were the free bags of lollies, you actually had to pay for them. So, these coins and things, these notes, like, they mattered. And I'm pretty sure my parents and my grandma used to make us lunch to go to school, so I didn't really have pocket money for the canteen. But all of a sudden I realized, okay, you need money for this stuff. And so it started to shape my view of the world around money having value. And then I also think that at that point I really started to notice that there were rich kids. So, kids who did buy ice creams and yogurts and things every day, and that then expanded to, okay, what kind of, shoes do the rich kids wear, and just things like that, that, again, I don't remember talking to anybody about them. They're just these beliefs that I started to form. But actually the most significant impact of that memory is that feeling of intense shame and embarrassment that I experienced in that moment. Because when you're 4 or 5, you don't know how to process those things. And what you end up doing is you associate, or I would have associated money with shame and embarrassment. And because you don't understand it, what you do is you store that emotion in your nervous system. And so what ends up happening is that, because also I didn't talk to anybody about the situation, if you've read any of Brene Brown's stuff, she talks about the fact that, shame thrives on secrecy. And so what actually happens, and that's a classic example, this shame and embarrassment that I was carrying, it just festered, and I would have carried it all through my school life as a teenager. And then once you're an adult and you're actually earning your own money, that's when it really bites you in the butt, and you don't have any idea where this stuff came from. And so, the way that type of an experience can show up in your adult life is in embarrassment around interacting with money. So examples that, people have shared with me, or, some of these I've experienced myself. So I've had people say to me, just that sheer terror and embarrassment they felt one time when they were at a grocery store, went through to pay for their groceries, and they didn't have enough money in their account. And so just that humiliation of having to remove items from your trolley to be able to afford your groceries. And the impact of that is the future experiences of going through that checkout. fill you with that fear and dread, even if you know you have plenty of money sitting in the bank at that time. And so, you know, these types of experiences, that stuff isn't just a one-off incident. It's usually stemmed from the fact that, you know, that person would have been carrying a lot of fear and dread and shame from an earlier childhood experience that they've just continued to store in their nervous system and in their belief system. So another example would be credit cards. So if you've ever had a credit card bounce because you'd maxed it out, and you know, years ago that did happen to me, and it's absolutely humiliating. And so, you know, there's the actual experience where it happens, but then there's also, you know, the future experience where, again, even though you might know that you don't even have any credit card debt, you hand it over with this feeling of fear and dread that it might bounce. And again, that's just earlier embarrassment that you're carrying that finds an outlet because you've never dealt with it. And then, you know, for those of you who sort of have made it, so if you have been able to crack through that income barrier, you're earning great money, maybe you run a business, you know, you don't get to run away. Like, these things still have a way of coming up and biting you in the butt. And if you are making great money, then what a lot of my clients share with me is that the way it really stings you is that you experience embarrassment, about the fact that you're making great money, like it's wrong somehow and you should feel bad about it. And so a lot of people hide it. They don't really tell people what they're making because it just feels wrong to be, you know, sort of putting that in someone else's face. Now, I'm not suggesting you should do that, but it's the guilt around even making the money. And the other form is around being able to spend money without feeling guilty. So again, it's similar to the guilt around making the money. It's that you might go to buy like a handbag or a purse, or I don't know, sometimes even spending on a car if you're making really good money. And people just feel this enormous amount of guilt, like they just, who are they to be spending that kind of money, and it's wrong to spend that kind of money. So there's some of the ways that this stuff really hits you when you're an adult. And you know, when I sort of think back on that childhood memory, like it's something, you know, I very much now dealt with, but even reflecting back on it, like people tell me that they have other similar experiences. And that stuff kind of makes me sad because I just think about the fact that this young child who had no awareness of, you know, what that experience meant, could get so impacted by it to the point that it can hold you back as you're growing up and just leave you with this tremendous fear and embarrassment around money. And you know, it makes me think of, I've got 2 little nephews and they're really cute, and I just think, you know, like they've grown up in a total different environment where if that happened, like I would hope they would come home and tell their parents or tell me, and you know, we'd laugh about it, we'd explain it, and we'd say, oh yeah, you know, it's no big deal, like, and you would just start to teach them things. But for whatever reason, as a child, I was so humiliated by the experience that I just didn't come home and tell anyone because I was embarrassed. And so I never gave myself the opportunity to clear that from a much younger age. And so it's something that did hit me much later in life, so well into my 30s, and it's really only through all of this sort of transformation and healing work around money blocks that I was able to free myself from that. But even just being able to identify that memory, it's just not something that even came to my mind till I knew how to go back and look for those things. Okay, so what I want to leave you with, so I want to challenge you to try and think of your earliest significant money memory. So I did just say it's not something that necessarily comes naturally, and that's true. But what you can do is, if you can get a few quiet moments to yourself, then you can just meditate on it. So you can just close your eyes and really just ask your mind to show you what that first significant memory was. Or it may not be the first one, just an early one. Try and think of something. And just make note of whether it was a positive or a negative experience. And you know, if you want to share it, then feel free to comment below and let me know, even if you don't want to share the specific experience, like how old were you when you had this early money memory. So, you know, if you go through and do that exercise, or even if it's come to you now, if you do have like quite a painful experience and quite a bit of pain around money, oh, sorry, there go the dogs, there's just someone at the door, they'll quieten down in a second. Shh, sorry. Okay, so if you do have quite a painful interaction around money, then, you know, I'm here to help with that. I can definitely help you to clear that crap out of your system. So identify it firstly and then permanently move on from it so that, you know, you can live that amazing and fulfilled life where you're not held back by this kind of rubbish. And so if you do want help with that, leave me a yes below, and I will send you details about the upcoming bootcamp that I'm running. So I've partnered up with another amazing money coach, Izdihar Jamil, and we're going to be putting together some of our very best work in a jam-packed, intense 7-day bootcamp that is really going to help you move on from some of this pain that might exist behind your negative interactions around money, and we're going to help you really set yourself up for 2019. So if that's something you want to be part of, drop me a yes below and I'll reach out and we can have a chat about it. So that's it from me for today. Have a great rest of the day and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.